but you threw in passing that Alabama's going to win by 2 touchdowns, which, by the way, would not surprise me one bit because, hey, they beat Georgia. Hey. They beat Georgia by 17 points on a neutral site, which, oh, by the way, was in the state of Georgia. Now, I get the fact that Georgia, you can look at it from a motivation standpoint. We all knew Georgia was in the playoff no matter what, even if they lost. Alabama in that SEC championship game most likely had to win the game to make the college football playoff. They won 41-24. In that game, Georgia was favored by 6.5 points. Alabama beat them by 17 points. The line tonight, Georgia is favored by 2.5 points. Now, I understand how lines work. I think this line is crazy. Okay, I think Alabama is the better football team. Again, on a neutral site, Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. But you have data points now. They played about a month ago on a neutral field. And Alabama won by 17 points. I think the line is looking at what Alabama did for the regular season where they didn't impress everybody. They had close games. Auburn, Arkansas, they lost to Texas A&M. LSU was a close game. Alabama flipped the switch. I know that's a cliche. We joke about that. But Nick Saban after that game said, y'all provided me with some rat poison. Usually that poison doesn't taste too good. That poison was yummy. I don't remember the exact quote, but I'm paraphrasing right there. So here's what I'm saying. I'm a bad gambler, although the last pick I threw out on the radio was about Alabama. I said Alabama was going to crush Cincinnati and cover. That was a 14-point spread. It went down to 12. Anyway, Alabama and Cincinnati was not even close. In the same stadium as Alabama. I know Georgia's really, really good. But you're giving me tonight, if I bet Alabama, you could get them at 3, now it's 2.5. You're giving me the best quarterback on the field by far. Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner, dual threat. You're giving me the best coach on the field by far. Nick Saban. Who's better? In big games, who do you trust? You're giving me points, and you're giving me the fact that I saw them play on a neutral field about a month ago, and Alabama won by 17 points. So, again, I never feel comfortable with any bet, but I feel pretty dang good getting Alabama and 3 points tonight in the national championship game. My final point before Jim Hayes has a question. Kirby Smart is a choke artist. He is. Until Georgia wins the big game, Kirby Smart has not performed well in these big games. I would not have a ton of confidence in him and his team going up against Nick Saban with everything on the line. That's my hot take.
I have a couple of critiques. One, if your hot take is watered down by the intro to the hot take,
correct,
then you've picked the wrong hot take. You had a couple of good ancillary hot takes, like Smart is a choke artist. That should have been your hot take. Yeah. Or I have a real problem with the line. That probably should have been your hot take.
That was my hot take.
Okay. Then it wasn't watered down by the intro.
I think the wrong team is favored tonight.
All right. And
that doesn't mean that Georgia can't win. That doesn't mean that Georgia won't win. But they're looking at Alabama, who in a way, for Alabama purposes, sleptwalked through the regular season. And they flipped it. And when they flipped it, it looks like old Alabama to me the last 2 games.
So I'm not a gambler. But there's like once every couple of years, maybe once a year, where there's a bet that I want because I think it seems ridiculous. I would take Alabama, and I would throw some money on that bet because I totally agree with you, especially Saban, time to prepare, where he's already done it once again. I would be all in on that. The other thing is, it's hard to get excited about this game because college football has been on pause for a long time now. It seems kind of silly. I get it, but it seems kind of silly to me.
To have a game? Well, you said, sorry, Charlie, to have a game right now?
Yeah, what do you got to wait?
I agree with you on that.
And to be honest, like the semifinal games were kind of dogs to watch anyway.
Yeah. They always
are. I'm thinking of NFL football. But go ahead, Charles. Sorry.
Well, no, I think the layoff between the championship games and the college football playoff is too long. Now, you have a million bowl games, but nobody cares about any of these bowl games anymore. I'm fine with if you play the semifinal games on New Year's Eve, and then you give them a full week plus. People are kind of going through the holidays. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think the long layoff between games that really matter, which is pretty much a huge portion of the month of December, that's what bothers me.
Yeah, because the bowl games are trash for the most part.
100%.
Trash.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Kirby Smart also, he wears a visor. I don't like betting on coaches that wear visors. That's a true story.
Is it
Why
nerdy?
do you wear
Is
a
it
visor?
I don't know.
That was the thing.
Who give me some
80s.
other one? Spurrier?
But back in
Spurrier
the day, Spurrier made it cool.
Give me a famous visor.
Pinkel.
Pinkel,
Schottenheimer.
Gruden. Doesn't Lane
Yeah,
Kiffin,
Gruden did too,
Does
that's
Lane
right.
Kiffin wear a visor? But would you guys wear a visor?
No, I would look like Mike Ditka. I'd have the fat-ass aviators. I'd look cool. I'd dress, I don't know. I wouldn't be Belichick. He looks goofy, too. I'd have a cool style.
Actually, I might have to wear a visor because of my Harry Potter little.
That scar ain't going nowhere,
You
dude.
don't
Put
think
some
so?
vitamin D on that bad boy. That is gnarly, man.
If I were a head coach, I would go old school. Here's a little peek behind the curtain. But when I coached 7th grade basketball, I got
You're doing good.
Suit and tie on. What? I got
Like,
suit and tie on.
Norman Dale?
I don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
So when you said, Cam, that
Yeah.
Alabama may win by 2 touchdowns, which I think there's a good chance that could happen. They won by 17 already. Here's where I would also say this with confidence. In a big game, that matters. Now, if Alabama doesn't make the national championship game and they play in a bowl game where a bunch of guys are out, I don't really look at those type of games. Name me a game that comes to your head where Nick Saban has been embarrassed or really beaten up in a big game. So if you go to the college football playoff, off the top of my head, the 2 times they lost, you lost what? A touchdown game to Ezekiel Elliott in Ohio State. That was about 8 years ago. The other game was an epic back and forth with Clemson.
That's right.
And Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Epic game.
Great guy.
In a big game, off the top of my head, I can't remember Alabama ever getting embarrassed. So if Georgia wins, I think it's going to be within a touchdown. But if both teams play their best game, yes, it would not surprise me one bit if the final score looks like it did in the SEC championship game, which is a comfortable 10 to 17 point victory for Alabama. And look, if Georgia wins tonight, I'm fine.
I want them to win.
And I'll lose my money. I actually do too.
I want them to
How
win.
much do you bet on something like this? May I ask, or is that personal?
$14.
Tonight, I will tell you, I bet $100.
Ooh. There's a life no more.
I bet $100, but I got him at 3. I like him a lot more at 3 than 2.5. I don't bet that much. I mean, if I won a lot, I'd bet more. We were talking about this before. People that pretend that they win a lot of money,
Don't
sports
even.
gambling,
I hate it.
99% of them are lying.
Yep. I want to hear about you
99%.
losing. I don't want to hear about you winning.
By the way,
Some guys talk about it on the air, not anymore because it's a better station now. But some guys that have almost destroyed a station talk about it on the air, and you know that they're not telling the truth.
listen, we were discussing this before the show. The only reason I'm not an awful gambler is that I've realized I'm an awful gambler, and I
There it
can't
is.
myself pick games, so I do what the smart gamblers do. For example, our guy Todd Furman, who will be on the show, this dude is a genius.
Not Mark Furman.
I was going to say, we want Mark Furman.
Mark Furman from the OJ case. Todd
Racist.
Furman
I don't want him.
is
He's
a
a racist.
data and math guru. Every NFL Sunday at about 11:30, 11:45, he puts out on Instagram his pros versus Joe's picks. All I do is his pro picks, I play them. I don't know what I'm doing. His pro picks yesterday went 4-0. They're 14 games over 500 for the year during the NFL season. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've realized that, and if I pick games
Shouldn't
myself,
admit that on the air.
that's true though.
Pretend you're a big time gambler.
No, but
not.
everybody. No, Charlie doesn't though, and there's everybody else does, and it's direct. And they'll like a text line. They'll put, and you know who's listening. If you're listening, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are. Well, we got a text line, and they'll just put out all the earnings that they win, and they shove it in your face. I'm like, I don't want to see that. I want to see negativity, Jimmy. That's what I'm all about. I want to see you lose, and then we'll be like, you're gonna be fine. Da, da, da. Come over, I got spaghetti or something.
You know what I want? I want to see people say, you know what, overall, and this is Charlie's, I admire this, is sort of your take, is that it's close to whether or not I win or lose, mostly lose, probably slightly on the negative side, but overall, I have so much fun that it's worth that money because I have a good time with it. Let's pretend that we're not professional gamblers who have inside sources that will give me the edge to make a lot of money in this racket.
100%. And to me, the entertainment value, even if you lose over the course of a 20-week football season, as long as you're not losing money that affects you and your family, I look at it as a hobby. It's like golf. There are people that spend a lot of money on golf, and some years you actually win, even though most years, let's be real, most of those people lose. But what ticks me off, because I follow a lot of gamblers on social media, and these people, I give them a lot of respect because they put their picks out there, right? They're not after the fact Monday morning quarterbacking. They put them out there, and then people wait until the outcome to rip on them, as if their bets were so dumb when they go 1-4. The people that wait until the final buzzer sounds.
Okay, I get you on that. But you know what else I don't like, too, is like when people that really don't know what the game – most people don't know. But if you're going to crunch numbers like your boy Furman, like I'm going to – Todd. Whenever he does it, I'm like, okay, there's me. But when random people do it and they're like, here are my picks, here, check this out. Like we had to do that for a little bit, and I'm like, who's going to win this hockey game in Winnipeg? Cam, what are your? I'm like, I don't know. Like Winnipeg is, I guess, because the team's miserable going in there because the city sucks. Love you, Canadians, but the city's miserable in the wintertime, so therefore I'm going to pay. But I don't know. I don't even want to tell people to throw money down because I don't know a damn thing, so I hated doing that. But if you know and you're crunching the numbers and stuff like that, then okay. But if you're just some regular Joe acting like you know who's going to win a hockey game, you're lying to the people.
If you're putting your rent on the line because you think you have the inside edge, it's
you're
probably a mistake. If you have a little cushion and you're having fun, as you know this, like I'm big into pottery, and I have a wheel and a kiln, and I'm never more at peace when it's me, the clay, and the glazes. Yeah. And I sell my wares at local swap meets and farmers markets, and I'll admit, it's a net loss for me. But the joy I get out of pottery is probably akin to the joy people get out of gambling.
100%.
And of course, I'm lying about the pottery.
I was going to say, all this, because I'm going to start painting like Harrison's doing. I'm going to start.
We got to follow up on that.
I know. I kind of want one now, to be honest with you. They're probably expensive.
I don't know. What are
Hunter Biden's going for? Like couple $100,000. So, and he's probably better than Hunter Biden. So you can imagine.
I don't know if he's putting them up for sale. He's even leery.
Or is he keeping them all?
I wonder too. I was wondering about. We're going to have Harrison Bader on tomorrow at 9. Matt Holliday coming up at 9:30.
Too much baseball.
But when Harrison. But is it possible that Bader was just punking us?
No, somebody sent in a picture of one of them. I think. I don't think he's punking us. No, I think he's really self-portrait.
But he said he's not.
He looks himself in the mirror and he does it. That's funny.
He said that he wouldn't put it public yet. And then I didn't know. Someone sent in a picture of one?
It could be fake, but I saw one.
I haven't seen any out there, but
I think he posted one on Twitter.
Oh, he did?
I think so.
I'll have to check that out. I bet you he's talented. If you have the hand-eye coordination to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, I bet you he's pretty good with the paintbrush.
Yeah.
He said that growing up, and then we'll get back to the championship game because we get off track all the time. Mm-hmm. But I always found this to be an amazing story. His dad helped him when he was young, like dads try, and his dad would plunk him intentionally just so he wasn't afraid of the ball, that he realized, it might hurt for a second, but so he plunked him intentionally.
Sometimes you got to get punched in the face and know how to eat it, man.
But look, that probably made a difference. It probably made an impact. If a kid is up there, you've all seen this. You coach. I used to umpire. You'd have kids that the second the ball is pitched, they start to turn the other way. They're so scared of the ball. If that's the case, you'll never be able to hit. Ever. Right?
But, then I think, if you remember, and someone tweeted this, I guess it was the anniversary of the release of The Great Santini. Do you remember that movie?
I don't.
With Duvall. And he was like an overbearing ex-military guy, or he's still in the military. And I remember him throwing the ball gently at his kid's face to make him cry. And he'd say, squirt a few. Go ahead, you little girl. Squirt a few. And I thought, that's kind of a blueprint for how not to parent. And then I thought maybe throwing the ball at your kid is maybe a la The Great Santini. Another reference by an old guy on a movie
I didn't see that.
Saw.
Did you say Robert Duvall? I like him. You like him. That's an older
Seth
one, though.
is like... Yeah.
We're all just looking it up on our computer right now. Like,
Seth is like, I'm disconnected from this Hayes guy.
Well, speaking of gambling, of course, you all know where to go to. It's MyBookie. The holidays are over, thank God. Took those Halloween or Christmas decorations down. Took all damn day. You know those Christmas trees, too, by the way, where they all have that, like, the white stuff everywhere? The white, like, it looks like snow, and you take the Christmas tree and you walk it downstairs and you hit the wall and it goes everywhere like you've been partying with a cartel all weekend.
Wait, you got a fake tree?
Yeah, 6 of them. They're everywhere in my house, Jimmy. It's crazy talk. It's a Christmas wonderland there. It's lovely at the time, but when you have to take it down, you got white stuff everywhere. You got to vacuum the house.
When you take down a real one, you got sap everywhere.
That sucks, too.
And needles that you got to go.
That sucks, too. I don't do the real stuff.
You have a real or fake?
I hate to get into this, but I am a big time real tree person.
Me too.
So it has to be a Fraser fir.
Yeah.
I'm very specific.
Yeah.
Why? Because it holds the needles better? Or?
I just think the look of the Fraser fir, it has kind of those frosty needles on the inside. I just think it's the best looking tree right there from Michigan. Just a beautiful tree.
Yeah, good looking tree. Good looking tree.
Last year, we did something we had never done, sort of like the Griswold family. We went to a place where you could cut down your own tree. You pick it, you cut it down. And it was fine. You know, I had to go out there with a saw and cut it down. But I did it, and we were able to secure it to the car and take it home. And it was a beautiful tree, except it came with these tiny little spiders that we couldn't get rid of.
Oh!
So my wife is like, that was a great experience, a great family outing to cut the tree down, but I'd rather not have the tiny little spiders. Yeah,
Jimmy?
She actually got spray to kill these little spiders.
Nope.
And we never got rid of them. Nope. And they didn't advance anywhere. They were just like little, you couldn't even barely see them, but tiny ornaments that stayed there the whole time.
Creeping on your bed and stuff. Oh.
They never got out.
You don't know that. You don't know that. They multiply.
You probably swallowed a couple, didn't even know.
They go right in your mouth because it's warm.
Yep.
Do you think it's going to shorten my lifespan? Maybe.
No, I think you're good on that.
I think you probably are.
However,
right, you're going to have nightmares tonight.
Underrated aspect of a real tree, if you have a fireplace, and I always do this every year, and I did it last
night. You burn
night.
it?
What you do is I always keep my tree in the corner of the garage. And when you're doing a fire, you take your loppers, whatever it is, and you clip off a couple of those branches of nice dry pine. And you put that bad boy on your fire, and it crackles, and it just, boom, inferno.
You know what else? That's a good point.
It's like lighter fluid.
You know what else is good? Pine cones.
Fireplace.
So do I. Pine cones. And they smell good, too. You take pine cones, and you can start light pine cone on fire, and it's like a nice little
but if you like the
starter.
smell of that, get a real tree, because that's one of the beauties.
I don't want spiders.
It smells like Christmas.
Don't
cut it
spray.
down. Go to a lot. They're spider free.
I don't know about that. There's probably squirrels and raccoons in the bad boy, too.
A little antiseptic.
I don't want it. My dogs go crazy.
And by the way, if you're keeping your tree in the basement, you might have spiders.
I don't have. No. My tree's right in the living room, and then the other one's in the other room.
But if you're storing it.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah.
But the spiders are already there. I'm not inviting other spiders from a different part of town.
You like the spiders you already
They're classy.
know.
See, in my neighborhood, we don't get the stink bugs. We get ladybugs. It's very bizarre. But in Eureka, the blue collar part, you get stink bugs. They turn the ladybugs out in the wealthy area of Franklin County. Very bizarre how it works.
You have stink bugs?
No, ladybugs. Right. My parents have stink bugs. Blue collar part.
We get them once in a while, and we're in a pretty nice area.
We get both.
That's blue collar part.
Stink bugs.
Ladybugs are out of the
ladybugs.
They're going crazy.
Do you have a big yard?
I actually don't.
We got a small one.
No.
Oh, can I finish my live read, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my God, we get distracted. Hey, MyBookie, the holidays are over. That's how we got distracted, Jim DeGat Hayes. The holidays are over. We sucked it up yesterday, got everything done. The house it's a new house. I'm done with it. Look, you spent too much money on gifts. How do you make a little extra coin to fill that bank account back up? Well, you gamble. That's what you do. You go to MyBookie.com, provides a VIP online betting experience. MyBookie has redefined the gaming scene as the world's leading online sports betting and gambling website. Bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Double your first deposit up to 1,000 bones. MyBookie offers great odds on Week 18 in the NFL season. And, of course, with the College Football National Championship coming up, and they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. Be sure to check out MyBookie.com for the best odds and ultimate VIP gambling experience. Check it out, MyBookie.com. You're pointing at me.
Here's why.
Yep.
I think Seth's take is also about tonight's game, correct?
Yes.
So I don't want to step on your take. But I do think, now we won't do this all the time, but because it's the national championship game,
Yeah.
I think all of us should put out a final score prediction so that we can show how none of us know anything tomorrow. I'll start. Is that okay, or does that step on your take?
No, it's perfect. What is, on verbatim, what is your official hot take?
My official hot take is, Kat said, I have to go with then Kirby Smart is a choke artist, because that's a hotter take than just Alabama should be favored and they're the better team and they're going to win. That's not as interesting.
All you did was you did a little renovation on your hot take.
Renovation.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'll go first. I'm going 31-27, Alabama. All 5 of us, please give us your predictions so I can put it out there and we can show how we don't know anything. So who's next?
I am. 34-24, Bama wins.
34-24. Cam.
27-21 Bama. Get on with yourself. No. Wait a minute. I'm going to do the opposite. 27-21 Georgia.
Ooh.
What?
Suck it.
You just changed your mind.
I can do what I want, Jimmy. I could do whatever
wasn't a real
I want.
pick. That was strategic. I don't like you were just being a
No.
Because this way, since you already said it. You already said
I'm a
Alabama
wily
was going
vet.
to roll.
Well, I changed my mind. I didn't
No,
put it in
you
the
just
books
want to
yet.
be the opposite so you can say,
I called my buddy, and he's like, Cameron, I don't know about this. Everybody's pushing this. Everybody's pushing this agenda. I'm going to go the opposite way. It just clicked in my head, so that's why I threw it at you.
That's actually smart.
Thank you.
That's very smart. However, within the last 5 minutes, you said Alabama was going to win by 2 touchdowns.
My buddy texted me.
No, I agree. If everybody's going one way, we're all going to be wrong.
I'm not buying
100%.
it, Cam.
He did.
I don't care if he texted.
He's like,
For you to
Cameron.
change, you saw
you
saw the lay of the land that
We'll
we're
be
all going to be
evaluating
Alabama.
tomorrow.
So you wanted to be,
That's
in
how
case
you-
it happens, you can go, look at me,
Look
I'm
at me.
smart.
I'm the cool one.
Nate, what do we got?
He's on the phone.
Oh, he's on the phone. My bad. See, I can't see. Seth, what do we got?
I got 35-27 Bama.
35-27.
A lot of 27s.
We'll get Nate when he's off the phone, but this is wrapped into then Seth's hot take.
Nate was calling his bookie. He's off now.
What do you got, Nate?
I'm going with Bama, 30-24.
Everyone's in the same range, too.
Yeah,
Well,
Listen,
for
I
Cam.
bet on Georgia in the SEC championship game. That was like lighting money on fire. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Are you a
Nick
big
Saban's in-
gambler? I mean, do you gamble?
I don't know what bit. No, I mean, I keep it modest, but I do gamble. Yeah.
I'm like the exception. I
hear
and
you.
I
Jimmy.
told Charlie
I hear you.
during a break that when I was younger, I did a little bit, and then I had some buddies who were in sports that thought they had all the answers, and they got in some debt.
That's what I'm saying.
Man,
Jimmy,
so
it's
it's
like-
not fun.
Well, it's good to do what Charlie does. Like, Charlie, here and there, you bet on little things here, of course, at my bookie, but if you really talk to a lot of guys gambling, there's more negative than positive in the end. Right? If you're really doing it, there's more negative stories.
And the enjoyment, and again, I'm not judging because I don't really care, but from what the reaction I get, like, well, it enhances when I watch NFL on Sunday or like a college championship, but in most cases, people go ballistic when their cover goes out the window in the last second. It seems like there is more negative than there is positive in terms of gaining extra enjoyment from watching a game.
I disagree with that. I think it goes back to that Rounders quote where Matt Damon's character says, you always remember the bad beats. You remember the bad losses, but I think there's an equal amount of great victories. And also, at the end, it keeps you in these games that are 14, 17, 7-point games at the end because of gambling. And I've said this a million times. Nothing unites my friend groups on the text chain like gambling. It's worth it just for that.
For me, it's pottery.
If you lose 20, 25,
Mine's painting.
$50 a week for the entire football season, which is 20 weeks, the enjoyment we get, because we usually bet against each other. We'll say, hey, I like this side. Who wants the other side? We'll always find a bet in there. And my buddies love, especially during football season, just getting the gambling chains going together on Saturday and Sunday. It's super fun.
Well, the reason why you remember the bad beats is because it affects you that much more in life. You lose a big bet, like you're walking in the house and she's like, well, what's wrong with you? Well, it's going to be an imaginary Christmas this year. Yay. So you do know the bad beats, it sticks in your mind because it totally affects you a lot more than you win 5 G's and you spend it in 2 nights because you're already with your buddies in Vegas.
But you got to bet beer money, not rent money.
There it is.
I would
about how
actually-
much you drinking.
I would actually argue that betting on sports has made me less of a sports fan because it's not fun to watch a game that you don't have any action on.
There you go.
I mean, when the Rams left St. Louis initially, I kind of stopped watching the NFL because I just didn't have any interest. My team left. But then once I started betting on teams, people always ask me, well, who'd you pick as your team? I'm like, whoever my money's on that week.
Well, you don't truly know until you bet on a player how good they really are. You know? Like, you think a guy's great, and then he misses a game-winning shot for you, and you have a completely different mindset of him. It could be LeBron.
I think that's everybody I bet on. Everyone I bet on seems to have their worst game that night.
Well, that seems like a negative takeaway from your gambling.
It is. It's horrible. Well, look, there's a reason sports gambling is not a successful endeavor. Let's just put it.
But overall, you get more enjoyment, or is that something you're like, yeah, maybe I should get away from it?
I don't know. Maybe I need to get away from it. I mean, the longevity of your life. You sweat out a game. Like, every point means something to somebody. And when you're sitting there waiting for an extra point to go through and a garbage time touchdown, and you're, like, sweating it out, I don't know. Is that good for your body?
I'm going to bring you, like, a little mini wheel and some clay and see how you like that. 'Cause that seems like a good alternative.
Yeah.
Just a little wheel. Just a little wheel.
Seth, your hot take.
So I think that everybody is pretty consistent on the final scores. I do think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be somewhere in like the 30s to 20s kind of game. I do think it'll be a one-possession game. Georgia's going to be a lot more prepared this time around. I think that's no secret.
Why?
I think that I think they built some confidence beating Michigan. That was a pretty good team, and I think Michigan
Maybe
didn't
Michigan
play too
was
well.
a paper tiger.
Maybe Michigan, just throwing it out there, maybe Michigan played their absolute best game of the last 5 seasons versus Ohio State at home when they absolutely needed that. The Michigan win over Ohio State was way more important than Michigan being in the college football playoff.
I agree.
They had to beat Ohio State.
Maybe that was
forever.
their peak.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, Michigan was a really good team this year. They also outperformed the spread for most of the year. But going into that game, Ohio State was also favored. Most thought Ohio State was the better team, but Michigan absolutely destroyed them on that day.
Here's my attempt to be divisive, which is kind of my job. Seth, do you agree that Cam's pick was a real pick? Or because your picks should kind of reflect what you believe, right? Or do you think Cam is a fraud?
I think he's no fraud. I would never say that. But I think you think that Bama is going to win.
I don't know what the hell I
You
think.
just called him a fraud.
You did call me a fraud. I don't like it.
My work here is done. My work here is done.
I don't know enough about it. Okay,
I
don't know enough about it. All I know is Alabama kicks ass, and they usually win in big time situations. But then my buddy texts me, he's like, "Go with Georgia," and I'm like, "Okay." So my mind, just flows with the wind.
I want to say you get full credit for if Georgia wins. I will not come in tomorrow.
As I should.
Absolutely.
No, you get partial credit, but it's smart because if all 5 of us said Bama is going to win, I would then have actually switched my bet and bet Georgia.
I'm just
because
trying to be a good radio
no
host.
way. There's no way all of us will be right.
Well, we're pretty smart guys.
Yeah.
No, I like the Zag. I think it's a good call. I mean, Georgia could win. Obviously, they are a good team. I do think that Kirby Smart is a little different in crunch time. I do think it'll be a closer game, though. Obviously, they won by 21
17
in the SEC, so that's not a hot take or anything. But I do think that if you sway the alternative lines and actually give Bama minus points, you can get them at plus 150 minus 3, and you can get them at plus 175 if you take Bama minus 3.5. So the conservative me would take minus 3, but since this is hot take,
Ooh.
I'm gonna say take Bama minus 3.5 plus 175, and if you got a little house money, sprinkle a little on Jamison Williams, the hometown kid, to get 125 plus receiving yards and a touchdown, plus 225.
I got to tell you,
He ain't got no house money.
That was a lengthy hot take, and I'm so easily distracted that about midway through it, I was focusing on your New Balance jacket. That's nice.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of
Isn't
numbers.
that a nice jacket?
First of all,
Yeah.
great
Nate, is
jacket.
that's
I mean,
nice.
it's not that
I'm
nice.
blocked.
It's just
Charlie's
not
kind
that
of in
nice.
my.
I mean, it's okay.
Nice jacket.
Yeah, it's nice.
But
The
hold
New
on,
Balance
like,
are
you
those
got a
shoes
nice
that
New
you cut your
Balance
grass
jacket.
with.
Hold on, though. Cat, though, even though that was a compliment of his jacket, you were kind of throwing aside that he brought real data.
Yeah.
And you didn't listen. He was bringing facts to the table. By the way, Jamison Williams from Cardinal Ritter, 7 catches for 184 and 2 touchdowns, including a 67-yarder against Georgia. So 125?
But they did play without their best receiver last game, so then he might get a few less targets. But he's a big-time player. He's really good. He kind of reminds me of like a smaller A.J. Brown a little bit.
Well, hold on. He's
So
their
he
best
plays.
receiver.
Okay, all right.
I mean, he's going to be a top.
No disrespect.
He's going to be a top 20 pick.
But they always have like those three, like the three-head monsters where it's Billingsley, and then I can't think of the other guy that they had, but
Mechie?
Yeah, and he didn't play last game, so I do think that his targets will be a little bit reduced, but 125 plus yards, he's good for like a 60-yard catch. If he can get that, I think, and that could be the touchdown.
And don't say I was disparaging him. I was clearly pointing out that I have a problem with attention.
Okay, that's fair.
how I am, Jimmy. When you throw numbers,
it was a lengthy hot take. I could lock in like on 1 or 2 points, but that kind of was like a 7-point hot take.
Thank you.
And for an old guy like me, whose brain is turning into oatmeal, by the hour.
Yeah.
All that being said, I actually hope Georgia wins. I think it's better for college football. Georgia is a great program. They haven't won since Herschel Walker in 1980? Georgia.
Only just push-ups only?
Push-ups, sit-ups, dips. Georgia.
It's true. Only push-ups.
For that program to not have won a national championship and been knocking on the door for 40 years, I hope Georgia
they
wins.
win. Yeah.
I hope they do.
I don't think it's good for. I mean, I understand the point. I'm not disputing. I don't think it really matters. I will say this: that based on the Aflac commercials, like I think Nick Saban, who is so good, and I kind of like his persona.
Mm-hmm.
He's confident, but a lot of people hate him. Maybe because Alabama rolls over everybody. But I do think, just based on my little circle, more people sort of like him now based on the commercials. There's a different side, the Affleck thing. I think more people are starting to appreciate him. So I don't think it's bad for college football if they kick the stuffing out of Georgia.
I just don't like when one team wins every single year. But I agree with you. Nowadays, every time Nick Saban talks, I like him more and more and more. Every time he has a great quote after a game, it's something I agree with.
Kids like him too. Like, did he? Like all these college football, they talk from up here and they do as I say, not as I do. But he hasn't really gotten too many jams, has he?
No.
Caught with a woman, did this, whatever. Like most of these guys do. Speak.
I think he was caught knocking over a 7-Eleven just for fun one time after a win.
That's not frowned upon.
Took a couple granola bars.
Yeah.
Well, he's struggling for money.
No, I think people sort of after a while hate the team and the head coach that wins time after time. I think he's great. I love listening to him talk, and I hope they win.
Last point. I know we have to go.
Yep.
I think he's gotten to the point. What does he have? 7 national championships? He has so many you can't remember.
Yeah.
I think at first, okay, he wins 1 or 2. This guy's good. You get to like 3, 4, 5. I hate this guy. He's annoying. He wins all the time. Then he keeps winning. He gets to 7, and you can't not respect the hell out of the man for what he's accomplished.
He's never really annoyed me. I always kind of admired him. And just so you know, before the break, this is the final point before the break, I kind of mentally keep a poll, a rankings of smartness for Hot Take Central. And I got to say, I think Seth and Nate are emerging.
They are.
Like, no offense, Cam, because I'm with you. You and I are always toward the bottom.
No doubt.
But Charlie's always kind of near the top. But I think Seth and Nate have surpassed you in my informal
Well, you can only go up from
smartness.
A grape hot take.
Well, I heard that there's an open spot at Fox 2 that I've been trying to get.
Ooh. I don't know if there is an open spot, but we got some young up-and-comers there, and Seth wants to be on TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to help him right now because I'm a veteran. Do we have the grape hot take ready to go? Listen, if there's any executive at Fox 2 who is looking for the next thing in sportscasting, I submit to you, Seth.
Oh, wait.
Hey, first of all, I recognize this voice. Is this my hero? Is this John Hayes?
Yes, there you go.
But that's what you wanted.
Is that what you wanted?
I asked you to cut that off. Give me the grape one.
Here you go.
I think that grapes is the best fruit.
Done. Done. Now I asked for the John Hayes one.
I know I'm not a nice guy. I'm sorry.
All right. I know I deserve it. I stir it up.
Breaking news. Breaking news. I know. Final point.
Yeah.
Brian Flores is out as the Dolphins head coach. He's a good coach.
Matt Nagy just got fired as
well.
well.
He should have gotten fired.
Mike Zimmer got
Flores
fired.
is out.
Brian Flores with the Dolphins?
He was not
Tua?
on people's list, right?
I thought he did
He
a
was
hell
not
of a
on the
job.
hot seat list.
Another big news broke last night. Bob Saget died. I know we're kind of moving directions. We're going to end on that. We'll come back, talk about him a little bit, talk a little bit more football, talk a little hockey next hour. And then we got Matty Halliday at 9:30. He's always fun. We'll be back. We might even have another hot take. I don't know, Seth. You get on Google. That's what you do.
You're emerging.
We'll be back. Seth. Cam Janssen, Jimmy the Cat Hayes, Charlie Marlow doing our thing. 59 The Fan and 59thefan.com. Ooh, baby. 846. Kirkwood, Missouri. Cam Janssen, Jimmy the Cat Hayes, Charlie Marlow, Hot Take Central coming at you. Bertarelli Cutlery, text line 855-282-8255. Joe Boo chimes in and goes, guys, I have the exact opposite reaction when betting on games. If I bet on a game, I cannot watch it. It sucks. And then, of course, Nate said that when he does bet on the game, it just... What'd you say, Nate? You said it annoys you?
Well,
you can't enjoy it if you don't bet on it.
Right,
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite. But I get that too. I mean, sometimes it's better luck if you just don't watch the game and you have some action on it.
Can you play the Kenny Wallace thing?
Do you
again?
want this again?
So we can. I want to decipher this.
Okay.
So yes, when a guest who should know you doesn't.
Right.
I was like, he doesn't even know who I am, and I thought he did because I knew him. You know, I talked to him at Cardinal games a bunch of times. Was he kidding or not?
Jimmy, you're overthinking it, dude. He's joking.
I want to explain this because I want to put in context.
I don't know if he was kidding or not. If he was, it was
I
great.
would prefer that he wasn't
rattled by that.
I'm going to ask him.
No, I would. No, I want it to be. I want him to not know because it's better for the show. That's why I'm calling it back. If I were rattled, I would ignore and move on.
He knows who you. I mean, Jimmy. He knows who you are.
But even if he kind of knew but got the name wrong, it's hilarious.
No, he's witty.
It's hilarious at my expense, and I want it to to be true.
Did I ruin your day by playing that clip?
No, I'm asking you to play it again.
Dude.
Play it again.
Okay, here you go.
Hey, first of all, I recognize this voice. Is this my hero? Is this John Hayes?
Well, it's Jimmy the Cat. You son of a gun.
I have to say, because he corrected himself while we were laughing, I think he may have forgotten.
Right.
And I love Kenny, but also
I think he forgot.
either way. First of all, Kenny was out in Yuma, Arizona, all weekend racing, doing everything. He visited the border. He was doing appearances.
We get it.
God's work.
And
The point is
I woke him up.
that
I
he
said,
didn't know my name, which is hilarious.
he was tired.
It's not a shot at him. It's a shot at me.
How dare he? How dare he?
How dare you?
How dare he?
All right, so at least because we were talking about this before, so we honestly think he just forgot, which is great. It makes it a better drop.
Here's why. Also, in the NASCAR world, in the sports world, it's all about nicknames. He calls you the Cat in the Hat, which I love. I think he probably refers to you as the Cat in the Hat so much that sometimes that's all we know.
And yet he still calls you Charlie, doesn't he?
But I don't have a cool nickname.
Why don't you have a nickname?
Well, give me one. You can't make your own.
Megan.
I was joking around
Chuckles.
once.
Charlie Rapino.
People throw around Chuckles, which is sort of a nickname.
Remember White Rascal?
I like the White Rascal.
But I jokingly said if I had a nickname, I wanted to be the White Rascal because I was drinking one of those beers and it has a really cool logo.